Applications for FEMA's COVID-19 funeral reimbursement program poured in just hours after it launched last week. The FEMA hotline received over 1 million calls on its first day, causing severe delays for potential applicants. Another 4 million calls have been recorded since then. The agency has opened more than 120,000 cases. Earlier, I spoke to CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Sganga about how the program works and who can sign up.
Families who have lost loved ones after January 20th, 2020 can apply. So anyone who lost a loved one due to COVID-19 after January 20th, 2020 is eligible to receive reimbursement from the federal government. The death must have occurred within the United States or its territories. FEMA's reimbursement checks are intended to cover costs including burial plots, caskets, clergy services, cremations, transfer of remains, and headstones. And to qualify, applicants have to rally a few documents, and it's important that people understand the process will go faster if they have these documents in order when they call the FEMA hotline. So the first is an official death certificate that attributes their loved one's death to COVID-19. It's also helpful to have those funeral expense documents, things like receipts, funeral home contracts that include the applicant's names, the deceased individual's names, and the amount of funeral expenses and date, all in order. Also, proof of funds received from other sources specifically for use for funeral costs. So, funeral assistance can't be duplicated under FEMA's rules. So it has to, be able to prove, if there was financial assistance received from another agency like the VA, that they're not reimbursing individuals twice. And lastly, applicants should know that the hotline is open from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. For the hotline information, you can go to FEMA.gov. Individuals who lost a loved one inside of the United States who happen to be undocumented, as long as the applicant is a United States citizen or legal resident, they can apply still for that reimbursement. And lastly, if you lost a loved one early on in the pandemic and that person's death certificate doesn't say COVID-19 as the cause of death, you should reach out first to the certifying official on that death certificate, locate the doctor, and go through state officials to amend that in order to be eligible to apply.
All right, some work involved, but this is proving to be a very, very popular program. Looking at all the people who are calling that FEMA hotline, this is the largest program of its kind in U.S. history. Is there enough funding, Nicole, to cover all of the funerals held before this was approved by Congress? And did lawmakers take into account any additional deaths that occur once the program was passed?
Yeah, the short answer is there is enough funding, and there have been, as you pointed out, a million calls on that first day. Now, FEMA is right now has $2 billion behind the program. It is part of FEMA's disaster relief fund, which includes $900 billion which includes, it's included in that $900 billion relief deal that Congress approved in December. But Democrats' $1.9 trillion stimulus last month also offered the agency an additional $50 billion towards coronavirus-related costs. So again, we are told that, if the death happened after January 20th, 2020, individuals are eligible moving forward. There is no sort of cutoff date. Individuals who unfortunately lose a loved one next week, next month, in the months to come will still be eligible to apply to the program.
And Nicole, when should folks be able to expect that check in the mail after crossing all their T's and dotting their I's?
Yeah, absolutely. So FEMA says that it is hoping to start approving some of these applications beginning later this week or early next week, although this is going to be a slower process. And so if folks have already applied to FEMA for reimbursement and they haven't heard back yet, they should not worry. And we should point out there were some, kinks early on that FEMA had to get through that they say that they're working on addressing. So they've got 5,000 personnel right right now manning those phones. So if individuals are not able to get through, they are encouraged to call back. And once they open an application, they will be able to start uploading documents online. So I've spoken to over a dozen people from across the country that have applied to this program. I talked to Stephanie from Maryland yesterday. She's an accountant. She told me she was the 1,826th caller. We're told that moving forward, the phone lines will not be as jammed up, and so individuals should try back. Also, a very important note, if you did apply for reimbursement on behalf of a loved one and you were initially denied because you were told that the death occurred outside of the calendar year 2020, you should try to reapply. FEMA said that there was a bit of a mix-up in the beginning rollout of this program because of the funding initially coming from last year's coronavirus stimulus deal. That has been resolved. Individuals who have lost loved ones this year to COVID-19 are still eligible, and so if you do get that error message, you should still try to apply. As a last note too, FEMA says it is not reaching out to any individuals directly. You have to reach out to them. So they did put out a fraud alert when they launched this program. If anyone is reaching out to you promising that they will apply on your behalf, soliciting personal information from you, do not give your personal information to that person. Right now, the Department of Homeland Security on alert for any scammers. So you need to proactively reach out to FEMA and just be aware of anyone requesting your personal information.